My name is Ahmad, pronouns he, him, his. I'm a fourth year and I'm currently AASU's Vice President of Education.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Sun. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a third year and I'm one of your advocacy chairs.
Hi everyone, my name is Sabrina. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a third year and I'm another one of your advocacy chairs.
Hi everyone, my name is Izzy. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a third year and I'm also one of your advocacy chairs.
Yeah, so welcome. So this is our first episode of the year for Tea Time with AASU, our podcast. And the main reason we're really putting a lot of time and energy into this podcast is because we want to make sure that we're creating honest conversations to talk about the Asian American experience here at the University of Florida, and in order to really start a dialogue about all these different things that are happening on campus, in our community, and yeah, just to go from there. First, today we're going to really just talk about what we do as the advocacy team here at UFAASU, what we've been doing this semester, and then what we have planned for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so going off of that, I think it's really important to start off defining what ASU advocacy really is. So for me, I think it's being able to amplify voices for those who maybe aren't able to, and that's why I really want to join this group, be part of ASU advocacy, because I've seen how laws can really affect other people, and I do think that this is an incredible opportunity to be able to showcase what I can do for the community.
I really agree with that. I feel like my definition of advocacy for ASU and kind of the reason that I wanted to be advocacy chair is similarly because I want to amplify, Asian voices on campus in Gainesville. I think it's super important for people to not only see themselves represented in spaces, but also to feel like they themselves can be the representation for others.
For me, I feel like a big part of advocacy to me is consistency and organization, and that's why I feel like ASU has given me such an incredible opportunity again to be able to bring people together and be able to unify all these different voices and go towards actions that can really make an impact on our community.
Yeah, I didn't start off doing advocacy stuff, to be honest. A lot of when I first came to UF, it was really just an opportunity to get involved in a community that I never really had growing up. So I think over time I realized just the value of that community and having all these safe spaces on campus and interactions with different people who had relatively similar upbringings compared to me. I think just over time as I progressed and spent more time at UF, I realized okay, wait, this is something that I want to try and help to preserve. So I think over time that's what advocacy meant to me.
Yeah, and I feel like a large part of the reason why I joined was because of what you and past advocacy groups did. For example, the voter education event you put on last year, the committee that you headed, I think was really important, and you guys did so much last year that I want to continue, and with the help of our advocacy chair and also you being able to guide us through everything, I think it's been really monumental.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I also didn't start out that interested in advocacy. I think I've always been called more towards service and serving others in the community, but a big thing that pushed me to try to make this shift was the closure of the Apizse, and it was just such a safe space for me in my freshman year, and one of the first places I really felt like I belonged. As someone who came from a predominantly white community, coming to UF and being able to experience all this diversity being celebrated, that was so amazing for me. So the closure of the Apizse was really hurtful and pushed me to want to join the advocacy team.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that was a huge thing because from my experience, I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot as episodes go on. But from my experience, the community was very content with everything that it had. Like we had all these shows, very robust programming, and you always had people who were like willing to be involved, but it felt like everything was going well. Like there wasn't anything to be angry about, and it was just kind of like, we're here to have fun. But then as things have happened over the past year with funding cuts because of state legislation, these bans on DEI on campus, I think that once people saw like, okay, I am not this is not like permanent, like this is actually very fragile and this could be taken away from me at any instant, like it was over the past year, I think that encouraged a lot of people to get involved and to like stay up to date on what's going on like in politics, not just in the state in Florida, but also like across the country.
Yeah, and we've been doing so much just this semester. Like we're just halfway done, and we've done so much. The advocacy posts that we make, stuff from ranging from the federal government, like the Big Beautiful Bill, to local advocacy groups. I really think that what we're doing is really monumental and really important. And also our education event, we got so many people, right? Like people from VSO, FSA came, and people who didn't know what ASU was, but they knew our subboards, they still came out, they got a feel for what advocacy was, and some that even decided to join our committee. It was really cool.
I think like in the moment it's easy for things to feel small, like especially like for example like one Instagram post or like one event or one ACU meeting, but I believe that like everything put together, like it's more than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing though, like it's I was listening to a lot of the oral history like interviews with a lot of AASU alumni in like the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, and that's something that a lot of community leaders from back then would always emphasize. Like I kept on hearing it over and over again. People would say, it isn't just like, okay, we either win or lose. It's like this is a continuous march. Like we are, I forgot which alum worded it this way, but they were like I am winning just a little bit every day with like all the little things that I am doing. So it's not just like one ultimate big win. It's like I am gradually making progress, and that's okay, right? Because that's how it is with these things. Like it takes time, it's slow, but it's still progress. And even if right now, we can't see the reward from like all of these different things that we're trying to do, it'll eventually turn out to be worth it. Do we want to talk about what ACU is? I guess so. ACU is something that last year, in response to all of the different things that were happening on campus, we decided to start, and it was basically this opportunity for all of the different sub-organizations to come together and like send a delegate or a few, and they would come together to work on like collaborative advocacy projects. So last year it was very difficult though because it was brand new, but while it was happening, you had all of this other stuff happening like on campus, right? Like the funding cuts, like it happened with FIND, and then it took a long time to like figure out what we could or couldn't do in PITSE, and we've talked about this so many times, and then SIG events, of course. So it's like gradually, as we're trying to make progress throughout the year, there was some other thing that would happen beyond our control, where we wouldn't even have the full picture of how it happened or why, and they would just set us back like 10 million steps at different points throughout the year. But yeah, you two want to talk about what your subcommittees are doing?
Yeah, so I'm the head for the subcommittee on legacy. We're basically trying to preserve like the oral history of like Asian American students at UF, specifically like their involvements with ASU, like what resources they had, what support systems they had while they're here, like what kind of advocacy efforts they engaged in, how they impacted the local community, the community on campus, and how they carry that forward with their career. So right now we're kind of in the beginning steps for it, but our goal is to do something with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at UF and kind of preserve a digital archive of our voices at UF.
So I'm the head of the subcommittee on belonging. So it's our main goal to cultivate space on campus where like we can feel accepted and celebrated in our cultures. The main thing that we're working on is trying to like reclaim and reinstate the Pizze, and we're doing this through different like community initiatives, like having socials in the space, but also trying to trying to convince our institution of how amazing of a place it was and how necessary it is for our students here at UF.
Yeah, no, it's all like such awesome work. And I remember last year, like, it's cool. It was funny because one of the last meetings I had last year for like ACU stuff, it's just kind of like you walk into the room and then there's like all this other stuff happening that I was talking about before, like the things that happen on campus that are out of our control. But then it's just so awesome, at least for me, coming back this year and walking into the room, and then you three are like doing such an amazing job with like all of these different tasks and projects and like the other committees. So it's exciting. It's really cool getting to see all of these things that we wanted to do actually happen. It's also good to know that it's a good way of like getting more people involved so that over time, once we graduate at the end of this year, it'll be continued, as we keep going.
What do you think like makes it hard for people to recognize, or maybe like what makes it hard also for them to want to get involved?
I think it like really depends on the environment that person is in, if that makes sense. Because I think on average, generally, people find it difficult to get involved because they hear, there are multiple barriers, right? The first barrier is like, do you even know what's going on campus? Like, do you even know about the state, like SB 266? Do you even know like what that is and then how it impacts us? That's the first step, and by then that's already like hard. It's very complicated. It takes time to research that stuff and to connect with other people about it, which time that the people don't have, right? Because we're all, at the end of the day, we're students trying to get our degrees, and our degrees might not necessarily be related to these bigger issues. But then from there, it's like if somebody does know what's going on, the next barrier is like, okay, well, what can I do about it? And, for us as people who are like really passionate about this stuff and we've been immersed in it, for us, we can think like, okay, this is what we can do, right? But for other people who have never been exposed to it, like, it's difficult. So I think like, and then from there, even after that, it's like, okay, I know what's going on, and let's say I do know what I can do about it. Okay, do I have time to do those things? Which, like I was saying before, like it's hard when you're a student. We only have 4 years here, too. So when you're trying to take on these like extremely difficult and projects that take time to accomplish, that are like require gradual progress, it's kind of difficult. So I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I think advocacy can definitely be really, really intimidating. Putting your voice out there by itself is really scary, not knowing how people will react, how people will respond, if people will agree with you or not. I think that's really scary. But what we've been doing, I feel like one of our goals for this year is definitely to make advocacy more accessible, more easy to understand through, like I said, our Instagram posts, our Instagram stories, committee, our events. I think these are really easily digestible ways to get information across and just to have ASU members an avenue to get them to know about what's happening, but also giving them an opportunity to actually do something about it. No.
Right, and I really hope, like you were saying, it's scary, you know, putting your voice out there. Like, sometimes you don't want to be the one person to stand up and say, like, something is wrong, like, something needs to be changed. But I hope that by having, like, a very strong foundation of advocacy in ASU, it gives people, like, I guess, the courage, or at least it shows them that they're not alone in, like, wanting to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree with, again, like what you guys said about speaking up being intimidating, especially because there a lot of the issues that we're facing, they don't have like this one solution or goal that we're trying to work towards. Like, it's intimidating to say like, oh, this is wrong or this is unjust, but not have a way where you could say, oh, like, this is what I think like should be done to fix it, or this is how I'll like contribute to fixing it. I hope that we can continue like offering these ways to make at least some type of difference, that people are not only I guess like comfortable with taking, but like feel confident.
Yeah, I guess a good way to kind of end off this introductory episode is, what's one thing that you're excited for this year, just in terms of like all of our plans? So we've talked about like a lot of things we have done and a lot of things we do have not planned, but like long term, right? Like by the end of the spring, what's one thing?
I think for me personally, I'm really excited to bring back that like magic I felt like when I first got to go to the pizza. Like, I want to be able to bring that experience to like our first years and second years who still like haven't been able to, I guess, feel that like all encompassing feeling of this is a place for me and for me and like where I belong.
I think similarly, but kind of different. I think I'm excited to pass the torch. Not in a I want to quit, but more in a like I really want to make advocacy like exciting for people and make people want to be involved, you know, and I want to see a lot of people want to do what we're doing, you know, and I guess inspire more people to take up the mantle of advocacy in ASU.
I am so excited as to the direction of this podcast. I really want to see what guest speakers we're going to bring on board. I'm excited to see how our committees will do research, learn about different topics, and I'm just really excited for this podcast. I think it's a super easily digestible way to learn about what's happening in ASU that's not just reading but listening and watching us.
Yeah, and we can also talk about like things without programming like a whole event. You know, I think for me it's kind of like what you were saying, Sabrina. Like passing the torch is going to be very rewarding and fulfilling by the end of the year. I think for me, what I'm looking forward to is like I want to be able to, even once I've graduated, hear about the things that are happening in ASU and to see like how much progress we have made. Because I think again by the end of this year we're not going to be able to see all of the hard work and efforts like turned into something tangible, but going further than that, like beyond this year, we'll hopefully be able to look back on what we did, and then also see what AASU is doing in the future. Like whether they're still doing advocacy committee on UAE. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will go well because the second year is happening. But then also like the podcast, are they also going to be updating that? Will more orgs have advocacy built into their programming in GBMs? That'll be also huge to see down the line. And then also, right, what's been going on campus in terms of like the law. Because you never know, right? Like things are always changing. Within a few years, it'll be like all of this was just an opportunity for us to get together again and recognize like the importance of having one another and relying on one another. And that's a nice reminder as they go into these upcoming years and they're able to do great things, but still like holding on to that idea. Yeah. Anything else that we wanted to add, talk about? Okay, well, we don't have a formal outro, but thank you all so much for tuning in to the first episode of Tea Time with AASU this year. We plan on releasing these episodes monthly. So thank you, Subcommittee on Outreach, for editing. We really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll talk to you very soon.